Hi everybody, Tammy here. Welcome to the Dolly Room. And today I'm going to talk about Blythe again. All right, I did a video not too long ago, a Blythe news video with my sister who is on YouTube. She's got two channels, Be Creative with Terry Jeanette, and her other channel is called Tapping Flamingo. And we were talking about the new release. Her name is Sailing Dominique. And we also talked about the previous release, Dolly Days, and the situation I'm in right now where I'm not sure when or if she is going to show up because I purchased her from the Japanese website, Good Smile Company. They have a US and a Japanese website, but the US site is not selling dolls anymore, any Blythe dolls anymore from what I can see. After I ordered her, and I did a pre-order on Dolly Days, like days before she was, or actually on the day she was supposed to ship, the U.S. Canceled the $800 limit as far as tariffs go. And then post offices around the world, including Japan, have decided they're not going to ship to the U.S. right now because they don't know how to do it. And so I got an email from Good Smile saying, okay, we don't know what's going on. We're going to try to find a third carrier, and somebody other than the Japanese post office to mail your doll, but we don't really know what's going on. So that made me start to think about, a couple of things. First of all, of course, I've been a proponent of enjoy what you have for the year 2025 when it comes to your dolls and basically life in general. I'm trying to, have that kind of, I have a lot of stuff, so I'm trying to enjoy what I have. I'm not saying be a minimalist or anything crazy like that. In fact, one of the ways I think you can enjoy what you have as far as doll collecting is buying stuff for your dolls versus buying a new doll, because that can tend to be, you buy a doll and then you want to have clothes and props and all that kind of stuff. So that could be a good way to enjoy the dolls that are in your current collection, right? But then another thing I started thinking about was the fact that, one of the problematic issues with Blythe is that she is a doll that comes out of Asia, and you can't go down to a doll shop and buy a Blythe doll new in box, okay? Or even old, or, whatever. Yes, there are, every once in a while you'll hear somebody say, oh, I found this Blythe doll, this Kinder Blythe doll at a auction, or I found her at the Goodwill or something like that. But that is very, very, very rare. Okay. In fact, as you know, there aren't even a lot of physical doll shops anymore in the US, let alone anybody that has Blythe. So if you're in the US and you want to buy a Blythe doll in the US, how do you do that? Because actually you can do that. I don't know if everybody realizes that or not. We're so used to buying them from, Junie Moon and CC Toys and, Good Smile Company like I did, that maybe we don't all know where to get them from. And this might be a good time to kind of stop and think about that a little bit. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. Where can you buy a Blythe doll in the US? And I'm going to talk about all three types of Blythe dolls in my what I call the three different types. And one, of course, is stock, the real deal, like my little dolly here. She's so Juliet's choice. She's so gorgeous. And then customized, like this little doll here from, this is Tootie. Okay, she's wearing the dress that I couldn't get on. I couldn't get this blue dress on. I don't know if you saw the unboxing. I could not get this blue dress to save my life on Juliet. So Tootie's wearing it and she's rocking it. Okay, and then of course the good old knockoffs, which this is and this is right here. These two dolls on either side of this customized doll. So we have customized, we've got the stock, the real deal, and then we got the knockoff ones from AliExpress. A lot of us are just now calling them AliExpress dolls. I've also been calling them non-stock dolls, but probably AliExpress is a better way to refer to them. So how can you get these dolls in the US without having to worry about international shipping and all the baggage that comes with it? Where can you do that at? There's actually a lot of places, okay? So first of all, obviously, there's eBay, okay? One of the things I like about purchasing on eBay when it comes to dolls is you can do a search in there and you can narrow the search down so it's only in the US. They also have that you can put in North America, but you'd want the US because obviously Canada is in North America. So, and that would be a problem now. But you can go in there and do that, and you can find stock dolls, you can find the AliExpress type dolls, and you can also find a lot of custom dolls, all Blythes on eBay I have purchased before. The thing with it is, though, you do have to double check and always check the seller's feedback and that kind of thing. So, but you do have eBay, you know, it does have buyer protection. So I feel like eBay's a pretty good option. Another kind of drawback, and this is just going to happen no matter what, we are going to have to pay more. I have found that, especially when it comes to the AliExpress type dolls, the prices on eBay are much higher than you would buy if you bought directly from the AliExpress vendors, okay? And that is understandable, because basically what the eBay people are doing for the most part, if they're in the US, they have bought those dolls already from AliExpress, and they're just turning them around for a little bit of profit. So that's, you know, that's just kind of how it is. But so eBay is definitely an option. Along the same lines, we have Etsy. Etsy is a good place, and you can find lots of US sellers there who are, again, selling mainly the AliExpress type dolls, and those are usually sold as doll supplies. And then the customized dolls. You don't see a lot of stock dolls on Etsy, and typically that's supposedly, Etsy is not supposed to be selling finished items unless somebody made them, haha. But for example, the AliExpress dolls, a lot of us who collect these dolls like to buy them because we have plans to customize them, and so they are considered doll parts. And I have actually sold that dolls over there. A few years ago, I did that quite regularly. I had a number of vendors that I would buy from AliExpress, and I knew those vendors really well, and then I would wait for these sales, and then I'd buy a bunch of dolls, and then I'd, you know, purchase them, and I'd put them on Etsy, mark them up a little bit so I got a little bit of profit. I usually gave them some underwear, maybe a dress or something too, and then I would resell them. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. One of the nice things about buying from Etsy or any place that's in the US is you're not going to have to wait for the long turnaround as far as shipping goes for international shipping. So I'm not doing that a lot over there anymore on my Etsy shop or my eBay place, just because I haven't had time. But sometimes I do. Sometimes I will slightly customize an AliExpress doll and sell them over there. So definitely check out Etsy. There are some really good folks over there, doll folks, who are selling, like I said, the AliExpress dolls, and also some beautiful custom dolls in the US. And again, you can search and kind of narrow down that you're looking for US sales. And then, of course, very similarly, there's Mercari. Mercari, I'm not real good at searching on there, but it's the same kind of deal. You can buy pre-owned, or you can buy, now they don't have limits as far as it has to be handmade, it's like supposedly Etsy does, which we all know that's not true anymore. But Mercari tends to have pre-owned stuff. Sometimes they have new stuff too, but definitely you can find Blythe dolls sold in the US over there. So those are three places: Etsy, eBay, Mercari. Another place I see people sometimes selling dolls, Blythe dolls, would be on Instagram. And if you have enough Blythe friends and doll friends over there, you can sometimes find people who are selling out of their personal collection. And so that's another place. It's not as much as some of the other websites I mentioned, but it is a place that sometimes I've seen collectors who are trying to just thin out their collection a little bit and moving dolls onto a new person. So you can always check out there. You could even post and say, you know, looking for and search of kind of stuff, and see if somebody pops up and says, hey, I have that doll, and I'd sell it to the doll to you. So don't forget about Instagram. Finally, a good source to buy dolls in the US is Facebook, and I have purchased many dolls through Facebook groups. I've also sold dolls through Facebook groups, okay? I'm going to mention a number of Facebook groups that I am familiar with that do sell dolls, but these are not the only ones. There are tons and tons of groups out there. But first of all, of course, there is my group, Blythe Doll Buddies. I have a link down below in the description, and I will put links to all these Facebook groups down there too for you, because I know sometimes it can be hard to find them by name. So yeah, Blythe Doll Buddies, we have a sales tab over there. I actually have, I know of one, I think I have a couple dolls I have over there right now. In fact, I have one Blythe doll. She's an AliExpress type doll that I made a couple of dresses for to make her look like the 101 Dalmatian Chickaroo, who I can't remember her name right now. Cruella de Vil. Okay, so she's over there. Yeah, like, brain fart. So anyway, that we don't have a ton of sales over there. Mostly that type of, my group anyway, they like to, my members like to post pictures of their stuff and ask questions. So we get lots and lots of fabulous doll pictures. A few people are starting now more and more to post for sale items on their, on the buy and sell tab. And it has to be on the buy and sell tab, by the way. But because we have a discussion tab and a buy and sell. So anything you want to buy or sell has to go on the buy or sell tab, right? But then there's some groups that that's all they do is buy and sell, so that you don't have all these rules, right? So one of them is a fairly new group, and it's called, I got my name thingy listed here, Blythe Sales USA Only. Rebecca put that up, or Becca put that up. I'm sorry, Becca. She put that together, brilliant idea. So that whole group is just for US Blythe doll sales. Yes. Okay. And I looked over there recently, and there's some really cute dolls. Some of them are priced okay. A few I feel like, you know, and I mean, that is a concern I have. I hope that people aren't going to be weird and like jack up the price because at some point, you know, we may not be able to buy overseas. So I hope people don't do that. But, you know, it is what it is. Another place I recommend is 100%, I mean, it's a long title, 100% Stock Blythe Dolls and Adoptions. Danny is the moderator over there. He does an amazing job. He knows everything there is to know about Blythe dolls. He also has a discussion tab, and he has a buy and sell tab. So that's a group that has both going on as well, not just sales. And he has, in the buy and sell tab, you'll see dolls from all over the world. I will say sometimes I get a little frustrated because when you only want to find the US dolls for sale over there, it's, you know, there's a lot of dolls for sale over there. So just be persistent and look through there. Again, you could post and say, I'm in search of this particular doll, and somebody, you know, from the US, and somebody might pop up and say, hey, I have that doll. So definitely check the 100% group. And then there are two other groups that I'm a member of that are just selling dolls. One is called Dolly Adoption, and this is all dolls, not just Blythe dolls for this group. Dolly Adoption, all it is selling dolls. You can find all types of dolls there. There you can find the AliExpress, the customized, and the stock dolls. Okay, so obviously the 100% Blythe group is 100% stock. He's saying 100% stock Blythe, so it would be this type of doll here, like Juliet. But if you're looking for custom dolls or the AliExpress dolls, any of the other groups would be okay with those dolls. So you'll see those over there. And then another one, what's the other one? There's one more. Adopt a Doll. Okay, Adopt a Doll also has all different dolls. So again, it's not just Blythe and not just stock dolls. So again, though, you know, those doll adoption groups that aren't just Blythe centric, there's lots of other dolls. So you kind of have to look through a lot of them. But there's quite a few Blythe dolls in those two groups. So that's, I feel like Facebook is actually a really great place to purchase dolls from people. I've done that quite often. And once you get to know people, I mean, the only thing is you have to, be part of the group. Don't just go over there and post stuff for sale and then not ever talk to anybody. I think it's important to be part of the community over there. And that way, you know who to trust as far as buying from. And because some people will want to sell stuff right out of their collection. I do that sometimes. And a lot of the dolls I sell are directly from my collection now. And so I will say, well, I want to sell this friends and family through PayPal because I'm not making any money off of it, I'm just turning the doll over for what I probably paid for her. So, and other people are like that too. But you want to know who that person is, understandably, because if you do friends and family, you have no buyer's protection in PayPal. So I would say, yeah, make sure that you kind of know. I've done this where I've bought dolls. I've been burned a couple times. Let's put it that way. I have been burned a few times buying like that. Eventually it has worked out for me, but it's something just to be wary of whenever you're buying from anybody, whether if it's on eBay or Etsy or whatever. You know, read their buyer feedback, get to know people, ask lots of questions, ask for more photographs. I mean, that's something, if somebody's selling a doll and only has one picture and it's highly stylized and there's no other photographs, I'm a little, you know, leery of that. But if I'm really interested in the doll, I'll just say, hey, could you take a picture, you know, more pictures? Or I'd like to see the doll without any clothes on, or, you know, are there any, you know, ask some questions. So don't waste their time if you're not really interested. But if you might be interested and you want more information and you really seriously think you're going to buy the doll, it's worth investigating, right? So if you can think of any other places in the US where we could buy Blythe dolls, let me know down in the comments below. I'm sure everybody else would be interested. What do you think? Are you holding back on buying your Blythe dolls for a while? Are there any new releases? I know we've got a hedgehog doll that's coming out soon that, you know. Anyway, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for stopping by. Please give this a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great Dolly Day. Bye-bye.